It's a book called The Nobody People. No,
Yeah, I'm nobody.
what?
I'm the
The Nobody.
nobody.
You're like, I used to be nobody. She says, I want to be
Yeah,
nobody. So I mean,
nobody.
sometimes you feel like you have no body. So, but when you have
Yeah.
no body, are you nobody?
When I have
Do you feel like you're
nobody, if
nobody
I'm
when you have
nobody,
nobody?
hmm, I never thought about that. I thought about it differently, but I
It's an
never
interesting
thought about that.
question. It's an interesting
Yeah,
thing to think about.
yeah. You want to give a little
Well,
summary of the book, maybe, so people
just
know?
a little, a little premise. So this book, it deals with people, and you would say, of course, that this is real. Like this is not a, it's not a fiction novel. You would say this is nonfiction, right?
That is so real.
Right.
Whatever you want to call
So
it is
people
real.
with
It's
powers
here.
that walk among us, they call them resonants. So if you would think of like X-Men with Charles Xavier and Beast and Wolverine and Jean Grey and Nightcrawler and all those people with powers, they call them mutants. In this book, they call them resonants because they're resonating on a different frequency, and it's resonant to each other. So they have a hive where they can go and they can visit each other, kind of like Cerebro, where they can find each other, and then exactly
Like the
like the
Pranalulia.
Pranic Church, right? So they have a search to bring more
Yeah.
people to the Pranic Church, and then feel that energy work together, find where they can combine their forces, and you know see where they can align together. You know, see what they can redefine together. Look,
Yeah.
it really takes a nice look into the powers that we have that are supernatural, but they're natural. You know.
Yep. Yeah. The most important thing I think is like how society takes it and how these people actually have to hide from society. I feel like they do exist, you know, people with superpowers. We're all over the place. I think all of this exists because whatever that you put into a book, imagination that came from out of your mind into a book, it's real. There's nothing to argue about. It's real. Simple as that. You can't put anything that's not real. When it already become an imagination, it's real because everything is imagined, right? So you can't say anything in the movies is not real. Just because you think it's not real, it's not real. Just because you haven't seen it, it's not real. Just because you live this part of the world and you experience only this side of the world, does not mean like different sides of the world exist. Doesn't exist. They do exist. So I believe anything that is portrayed here on this plane is real. Somewhere else, whatever it is. But these are amongst us. The resonant, whatever you want to call them, they're amongst us. But it's like portraying yourself as a weapon. You can't just come out to society and say like, hey, this is what I am. They will eat you. They do.
It's so true. It's one of the reasons why I feel that there are certain people, maybe even certain sages, ascended masters, or even people who have come to levels of mastery over their own vessel, over their vehicle. And they
Mm-hmm.
won't come out and express that, not only because they have nothing to prove, but because they don't want to lose the
Mm-hmm.
freedom that they've already gained.
Yeah. Or becoming an experiment. That's one of the most thing that people fear, when they feel like they have some abilities and you speak out, you become an experiment. You're a tool now. You're something, like you're not a human anymore. You're just a property. So that's what a lot of people fear. But I think there are so many people with different abilities that would not come out. Just like, when Avi published the article, how many people came out? Did you come that far? You did, right?
How
Say
many
you
people
came
came
that
out?
far that he published. No, some people, resonated with it. Some people say negative things about it. It's different perceptions. You just have to take that. But just to have that little people that will come out and resonate with it, it's enough. It's better than, you shouldn't even pay attention to the majority that are screaming, because they just don't understand. That one person that can recognize itself and say like, oh my God, that's exactly what we're doing on the Chronic Church. People just recognizing themselves and saying like, okay, hey, there are other people like me, and speak up. Otherwise, most of us will be in this mental asylum, or whatever they call it, those facilities for mental ill people. Because if you're not understood, they will give you a pill to just dim you down. Mm-hmm.
And you've seen this happen. It sounds like you've seen this.
Of course, of course, of course. I'm even scared. I don't express everything to anybody. I'm careful with what I express with whom I'm talking to, because if I just say wrong thing to a wrong person, she's cuckoo, she's crazy, it will be a case. It'll be a case. So you have to know how to use your communication with who you talking to. You should know.
So when you're learning how to use your communication, and I mean, you studied about communication, about communication, and you were a journalist, just like the main character in this story is a
Mm-hmm.
journalist. So when you're writing these things, sometimes you will write things that really resonate. I'll
Mm-hmm.
feel voice in your words, in your writing, like on your Patreon or on your post or on your page. When you put these things out for the public, what do you feel that you would resonate? Are you wondering if it resonates? Are you wondering if it lands? Are you wondering if people are receiving your words?
Resonate. You know, we're mirroring each other. Like I always say, is a signal. It's kind of like a frequency. So if I'm tapped into that frequency and someone else is tapped into that frequency, if nobody speaks out, we will never find each other, really. Somehow we won't. So somebody have to say the crazy thing so someone else can resonate with it. So it's not crazy anymore. It just have to be done. So for me, it's like, okay, can you recognize yourself a little bit of what I said? Have you had those thoughts? And it's, yeah.
So speaking of people who have to say the crazy things to find the people that aren't crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and to know that they aren't crazy because they see someone else who's saying the same crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
So you told me that if it weren't for Tom and people like him during the time period that he was coming out talking about these things, that you would have continued to go on thinking that you were crazy.
Yeah, I kind of accepted my disability somehow.
Disability?
Yeah, at a point I came to that, this is a disability and we're accepting it, because there's no more forcing food. There's no more of fitting in society when it comes to food. I can never find any joy in sitting inside a cubicle watching everybody eating, and then I'm entertaining a fork and a knife. It's just not, it's none of my scenes in my show. So I've been pretending it for so long. So either I could go on with pretending, you know, and kind of like bother myself by saying like, oh my God, you're so weird. Like I would never go and do a grocery shopping unless it is for someone else, who lives with me. But it wouldn't be my own signal like, okay, let's go and fill the fridge. Oh, let's put the oven on and just make something, It would never come as an automatic thing for me. So it was just, yeah, I wish there were people that never ate. That was my thing. I used to wish that all the time, But I felt like society was telling me, if you don't eat, this would happen to you. If you don't do this, this would happen to you. But nothing was happening, and I wasn't doing anything. But at the same time, I just had the thought. I always had the thought, because I can't force myself anyway. But when people just say like, "Oh, there's somebody like you," and everybody just points at Eliton. I didn't watch him, but I saw them. They would put the TV on, and they would have Elitom on. And I'm like, okay, I hear it. I still haven't watched one of Elitom's videos. I still haven't. But then just listening to that, I realized, oh my God, I'm normal. I'm not. I'm not weird. I'm the one that's normal, because I don't feel like the need to, shove something into my mouth. Yeah.
And not feeling the need to shove something inside of your mouth, why did you feel you were disabled?
Because I didn't know how to have those signals of thinking like, oh, I need something. Oh, I need to eat something. Like other people. Some people can't even plan for a week meal. Like, oh, this week I would have this, this, this. I can't plan a day. So I thought it was weird. I was just disabled that way, you know. I just didn't have those signals. I didn't have any problem drinking. It was the chewing.
So the chewing was doing, right? There was, but the drinking you weren't thinking. You could
Mm-mm.
be thinking and not thinking, but the chewing was doing.
Yeah, but even the drinking, I would be thinking.
You would be
Yeah, I
thinking.
would be thinking, but it would be like, you know, it's easy for me to pick it up. I would have my glass here, put it down. I can never drink it and feel like, oh, this is like delicious and drink it. No, but I can trick myself, put it there, drink a little bit, put it there, drink a little bit. So we can trick ourselves, but sit there and put something into my mouth, and then while I'm chewing, I'm telling you, the excitement just expires. There is no excitement. It just becomes like, oh my God, job. So that's, and then I can't swallow. It's like, should I spit it out? Should I swallow it? Should I spit it out? It's just like, what should I do with this thing? You know? Yeah.
That sounds like, circling back to the war and peace in the mind. There was a war. Should I do this? Should I do that? It was all of that kind of dysfunction, but there was no dysfunction before you know, were trying to digest. There was only when you were ingesting that that's what was expressing, you know?
Yeah. I think what I'm lacking is that while some people have their own desires towards the foods that they're putting into their mouth, I don't have that desire. I just have that must, the society said. So it's kind of like a job. It becomes like a job when I think about it, like, okay, oh, I have to eat this because that's what people are supposed to do. Not because of like, oh my God, this is delicious. Not that. So I think that's why it expires, because of I'm not doing it willingly. It's not, the desire is not coming from me. It's literally from my mind and not from me.
Do you still have that program installed, or did somewhere along your journey did it fade away, or do you still feel that same way today?
Um, I still analyze, my ways of being, and I think I'm still like, slightly different. Um, but I accepted more. Now I'm just okay. There are people that are actually don't want to eat. So why would I force myself? Why would I have to learn how to eat? So no, it's different now. Just because of I've seen more people trying to do what I'm running from. So now I've started to analyze people that are, on the chronic journey. So I analyze them more, and now I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is an addiction. They're really like, fighting to not eat. They're really like punishing themselves to not eat. And I was just thinking, this must be really. So that's why I always say like, this is a mind thing. All addictions are in the mind. It's your mind just tricking you and playing the same game over and over. There's nothing in your body that needs it. It's the other way around. Your body may be screaming, saying like, I don't want this. And your mind is like, put it in there, and you're hurting yourself. It's, self-sabotaging.
I recall, just as you're speaking, you're reminding me, to Biha, that you say, these things are in the mind. And you said sometimes you would feel that when we eat, that we are blind.
Mm-hmm.
Like our sight goes away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What did you mean by that?
Um, so let's say like if you start drinking alcohol, your consciousness changes, right? When you take anything like, drugs, alcohol, we know those. I'm just giving you those examples because of the effect is faster, right? So when someone drinks something, they don't see the same thing, you know, they see differently. Things become differently. Some people feel, whatever they feel. When it comes to food, it's the same thing. It's just the settled ones. They're so settled because of now you've been trained since you were a little baby to to have this addiction over and over and over and over again. So whatever message that comes inside of you, it just learn how to encode and decode and just do whatever, you know. But if you actually know what message that goes inside of you, every message is blinding you from your true nature, because now you're just transmitting every message that you're putting. Whatever you're putting needs to come out, so you become the message. It's not like you're just pooping out stuff, but your mindset also becomes the food. So now you see what the food is telling you to see. You know, whatever that juice made you feel, that's how you see it. Whatever that cooked food made you feel, that's what you will see. So your perception changes towards what, you know, depending on what you eat.
The perception
Mm-hmm.
changes. Okay, like how you said that in this book that we're reading, you know, there's a character named Bishop,
Mm-hmm.
and Bishop, he's able to, he calls himself an omnipath. Like he says, there's telepaths where there are readers and writers, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's readers and writers. There's people that can read other people's minds and see what's going on and see what they can find. But then there's also people that can give subtle suggestions and subtle commands, you know, to the brain center. He
Mm-hmm.
said he's one of those people that can do both, that
Mm-hmm.
he's an, right? And he demonstrated his power in the bar when he made everyone in the bar stop what they were doing and freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also made the main character just kind of forget that he was about to ask something important. There was something I wanted to ask. It's on the tip of my tongue, and now it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that way in the past. I remember that there were certain times that I felt, oh, there's so much that I want to get done today, but let me eat something first. Let me eat something first so I can have the energy, right? That was my programming.
Mm-hmm.
I feel down. I need to have the energy. Let me go eat something. After I ate, now I feel like I wanted to go to sleep, and I forgot all about what I was about to do. It was like I forgot I was about to do something, but it's no longer important.
The food took it away. The food took it away. Oh my God.
It's like wasn't I didn't I want to get a lot done today? I thought I had plans. They're gone.
Oh, yeah. You see, the food just made you blind. Yeah. It stuffs you though.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that, and also, you know, I see everything as a message. So, you know, whatever message that goes in there, it's like it's like a machine, and you put messages in there every day instead of like generating your own message, becoming your own message. You just put in something in there that comes out. You act whatever you eat and whatever you listen to and read. So when you are in a natural state, which is like, you know, when you're dry fasting, you're absent from all information. That's all it is, from all information. So when people are fasting, I don't like when they start reading stuff. Now you like, you know, consuming stuff with your mind. You know, now you're reading and you're eating all these words. You should be absent from all information that goes inside of you. That way you will transmit some form of like clean message coming from you. Then you're clear headed, you know, your vision is clear. But if you have all these messages every day, your job is just like, whoop, whoop, every message is coming out of you. It's not yours. It's not yours. So reading, eating, all of that is just a form of information that, you know, changes your perception in the reality. Whatever you read changes you. Whatever you eat changes you. Whatever you drink changes you. We need this big, you know, like alcohol, for example, something to show you that, oh, you see, you acted that way, and that's the alcohol, you know. But the food, we don't see that. Those are settled. They're very settled. They're very settled. You know, we only notice the one that makes us sick. Like, oh my God, this one made me this way. But all of them are making you sick, just like in a settled way. Yeah, it's our message.
You remind me of Vipassana, you know, when we did our 10-day sit, we had to sit for 10 hours a day for 10 days. Under the guidelines, they said no reading, no writing, no talking, and no telecommunications, no cell phone, right?
Yeah.
So we couldn't engage with any books for information. We couldn't write for information. We couldn't receive information from each other. We just kind of walked past each other without, greeting each other. It was just you and you and you,
I love it.
me and I, for that whole entire 10 days. And it was a very different experience,
I
you know,
love that.
very different experience.
You get to know people better that way. You know, you may approach somebody and you say, "Hey, what's your name?" You tell them your name. They tell you their name. And then maybe like, some type of information, something they read, maybe they share that with you. And that person just shared whatever information that's not even them. It's not them, you know. But if they were silent and they couldn't talk for 10 days, you guys were passing each other, they don't have time to act. They can only be the natural state, because now when you approach the person, it's not like they're telling you information taken from a book. They're not telling you like, okay, I'm this, I'm that, and this is what I am. You just see them as pure as they are, just the way they are, with no information coming out of their mouth telling you this is what I am. You have your interpretations to do by just watching them silent. That's louder than any words, because the word will limit you. The minute the person say I'm this, you stopped. You stop. They already paint a picture for you.
So is that the only way that we can see people in their purity, you think?
Not the only way,
How
but that's
how
definitely a
else,
better way.
how else do you see someone in their purity without that?
When they are not watching, when they're not watching, because of these people that you're saying like, okay, they are silent, but you're still watching them. There's some type of control in it still, because there are some people watching. People are aware that people are watching, so there's some type of control in it. But if the person thinks nobody's watching, let's say like you're invisible around the person, that's one way to know them.
Like Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie can go in. Well, she doesn't call it invisible. She calls it non-perceptible.
Oh, I love that actually.
Like
Better.
she just. It's not that she's not there. She just can't be perceived.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
she's there, but you just walk right by her. You just look right through her. You can't
Yeah.
see her
Yeah.
because
Just
she
like that.
she somehow puts herself out of the realm of your awareness.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Exactly. That's one way to know someone, because when they are by themselves, it's not like, even if they talk to themselves or whatever, you know them better than if they knew you were watching them.
Okay, so when when someone when someone knows that no one is watching, you feel that they're their purest self.
I believe so.
When
Yeah. They have
no,
nobody to trick, nobody to lie to, nobody to, you know, people are just concerned about what other people think about them. That's why they put on some extra that they're not, or maybe take away or whatever. But it's just like people tell stories to people because based on the perception from the person they're talking to. So they don't always tell 100% because of like, oh, that little judgment from that person. What would they say? So they hold back. So even if you're the most honest person, there's something within you that will just hold back depending on the person you're talking to. So yeah, I think when nobody's watching.
were there times in your life when nobody was around, nobody was watching, that you had to be brutally honest with yourself, or even give yourself like radical emotions? I can recall that when I was really going through stress in certain relationships, that there were times where I would have to go off into myself. And I remember just yelling at the top of my lungs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that in the house or where I was. But when I got off into the woods or I went off all alone, I could finally, it was like I could unleash everything that I had been holding inside. Have you felt moments like this?
I have a lot of moments like that. You know, I try to create that space where I can just release, because you don't have to sometimes you get into those situations where, you know, you find that place and you have to just release it. But I think we have to create those space for ourselves where we feel like, okay, now I'm releasing whatever anger, whatever I have within me, you know, just release it. So yeah, I've had those moments, definitely, especially when I'm in nature, you know, when it's like empty and it's just like my own voice echoing back. Yeah. And I always feel like I'm being watched anyway, even if I'm like in the top of the mountain by myself. There's something inside me that's watching me, I feel like. Yeah.
So you never feel like you're not being watched.
No, you know, being watched by humans and being watched, whatever, like it's two different things. But no, I think I'm always being watched. I'm always being listened to. Always. Like I even control my own internal, you know, conversations, like what I say. It's funny, but I think so. Yeah. I really believe that. I really believe that at all times I'm being listened to. Why not? Why not?
Wow, Nabiha, you remind me of a story. Do you mind if I share it with you?
Yes.
Okay, so there was an abbot, like think of a monastery with monks, and there was a hey brother, there was an abbot, and he had a whole bunch of students, a whole bunch of disciples that he was teaching this lesson, and you know, all of them wanted to attain a certain knowledge or something that he wanted to impart this wisdom to them. And he said, also, he had a daughter, and his daughter
Mm.
was like a beautiful daughter in the village. And they all wanted to have their way with his daughter or be selected to. Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he gave them a task, he gave them a test. He said, okay, I want you all to go out into the village and I want you to go into people's houses and I want you to grab all you can. I want you to wait till people are asleep and I want you to go steal things from other people and bring back everything that you can bring back. Whoever brings back the most valuable things will be able to have the hand of my daughter, right?
Okay. What a
And so,
challenge.
one condition, he said, you have to make sure that no one sees you.
Hmm.
No one sees you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the monks, they went out into the village and they took trinkets, they took everything that they could find, they snuck around and they really kind of pilfered, right? And they brought all these things back. And he said they laid it out before him and he said, okay, you know,
They really did.
right?
I wouldn't do it.
He said,
I wouldn't do it. Telling me to go and steal. No.
so he said, okay, all of you failed.
Ooh.
Failed. He said there was only one person who didn't fail. One person, he said, which one of you didn't take anything? And one of the monks stood up. And
Okay,
he said,
smart one.
why didn't you take anything? Why didn't you follow my instructions? I told you. He said, I did follow your instructions. You know, he said, I waited until it was nighttime. I waited, I went in, and I was just about to steal something, but someone was watching.
That was
And
him.
one said, wait, who was watching? You said everybody in the house was asleep. Who was watching? He said, I was watching.
I love that.
Right? I was watching me, you know, it told us if someone is watching, do not steal. So I couldn't steal anything. He said, you get the hand of my daughter.
Wow, I love that.
You win.
I would have been, yeah. I wouldn't just go and do it. In fact, the fact that someone just tells me to do something that I cannot do it on my own. Yeah. And that's, yeah, you're always watching you. You're never alone. That's one thing I know. Yeah. moving around today, huh? Like me.
You remind
Yeah,
me.
I see. Lexus said, I never feel that I'm alone when I am in me. Yeah, we're never alone. We're never alone. I used to think, when I was a kid and they say, like, God sees you everywhere you go. And I used to ask, like, God sees me when I'm in the shower? That was my question. Like, I'm naked. Can God see me when I'm naked? Nobody's supposed to see me then. But that God is you. Whatever that's within you, that's the only thing that can follow you anywhere. Anywhere, any place. That's just you. Your heart. So yeah. I used to think it's the air. It must be the air. But no, it's just you. You. You are that one. They always say one. Yeah. Yeah. We duplicate everything. It's just one thing. It's just one consciousness. One consciousness. Split it into all of these fractions that you see, but it's just one. And we're all just trying to get back to that one. To that one consciousness, to that one source. But everybody is walking around with different messages, right? What we eat, what we read.
So to go away from the either or,
Mm-hmm.
to just go back to the one.
Mm-hmm. It's just going back to the one. But in order for you to do that, you have to become that frequency. It's just, we're streaming just from one consciousness. Really. Just one. Everybody think they're walking around having their own little consciousness in their pockets. No, it's just one.
A consciousness in your pocket? In your pocket? You're pulling out
My consciousness said this. My consciousness said,
consciousness.
that's my consciousness.
Got some
Oh, no.
in your pocket, right?
Your consciousness is your awareness. If you want to have it, if you want to claim it as yours, think of it as your awareness of the consciousness itself. How aware of you, of yourself, your surroundings. How aware of you. The more you become aware of everything, then you will know that it's just one streaming from one source. Mm-hmm.
Bishop called it the source with a capital S. He said the source. You remember that conversation, the interview,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the resonance was something that all the resonant were able to tap into because it was one.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all one. They were all drawing from that frequency that was ever flowing, ever omnipresent.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say right now. Yeah. It's that one consciousness, that source. It's like if it was one Wi-Fi, but they're different devices. But we just use streaming from one Wi-Fi. Maybe your iPhone, maybe somebody else is another phone, someone is TV, someone is this. But we're all just streaming from the same consciousness. Whatever device, if you're walking around with a radio, you may not be receptive because it's different technology and the signal may be. So you have to have a different device in order for you to be receptive. So
how does the signal go? How does the signal sound?
I'm not good at making noises for whatever. The signal's not going in. That's my point.
It's not going in.
When you see messages and the message just never clicks, never goes in.
It never goes in.
Yeah. If you feel like frustrated, you're like, oh my God, why am I not understanding this? You need to fix your frequency because you're not receptive. You're not receptive to it.
So when you get frustrated when something doesn't go in, do you feel you need to be more receptive or they need to be more descriptive?
It depends. It depends. Some messages are just not supposed to sink in anyway because it's not your channel. It's different channels, So it's like, oh, I haven't seen that show, but it's playing. It hasn't played on my side, and maybe it won't. It would never, It's just a different side. You're streaming from a different side. So those kind of messages would not click because it's not in my consciously. It's not, I'm not streaming it, but it doesn't mean that the message, something wrong with the message or anything like that, or I have to chase after the message to click for me. I don't have to. It's not my channel.
It's like those things, like you were saying, that certain things entertain others when they don't entertain you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is it called? You've seen these things, mukbang. Mukbang. You've heard of that?
Mukbang. I've heard that word, but remind me.
Mukbang is like a word that they use for people who are just eating, and they're
Oh,
like
yes, that's what it
they're
was called.
like videotaping themselves while they're eating certain foods, and you can hear the noises and the sound,
Yeah, I don't want to think about that. All those
right?
national, yeah, and people enjoy that.
And they're watching it, but that's entertainment for some people, but that's not your channel.
Oof, no,
You
no.
sound got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's because it's the noises, the noises of someone like chewing and eating and everything. It's just, I don't understand how that is satisfying. I don't get it. And then, the food and everything all over their face, and just they're eating all kind of weird stuff, and people are really watching like, oh my God, like they're eating these spicy chips and stuff, and people are really like drawn to it. No, not my channel. You know, I don't have anything against food channels, because I really watch bakery shows and stuff, and I love those kind of channels. I have nothing against food. It's just all that noise and all that. Huh?
It reminds me, I was on a train one time, and I was heading to a destination. This was when I was overseas, when I was like in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
riding this train, and there was a lady sitting in front of me, older lady,
Mm-hmm.
glasses, gray hair. She's looking at her cell phone. Some people, they bring it all the way up to their face,
The
and they gotta
phone?
like look at her.
Oh,
She was
okay.
looking at her cell phone at something very intensely, and she was in the seat right in front of me. So I just kind of like peeked a little bit, like, what is she looking at? I was just kind of interested, and I was being nosy. You know what she was watching?
Don't say the food channel thing.
No, she wasn't watching the mukbang. She was watching. You know how when somebody has a pimple or like a sore or something on their face or on their skin, like pimples, and like when they pop it, like the stream of the pus or whatever comes out.
Jerome! Oh, yeah.
You know,
Nasty.
you got the visual.
Yeah.
So she was watching multiple people popping pimples
Oh my God.
over and over and
Dr. Pimple Popper.
like over again, multiple people popping pimples. She was watching it and just watching it.
There's a show.
No, she was watching a YouTube channel.
Yeah, but there's a Dr. Pimple Popper. There's a show.
Oh,
I've seen it. I know which one it is.
there's a show? I didn't even know there was a show.
That's the show that she's watching. Carla just wrote it there. Dr. Pimple Popper.
There's a show?
There's this lady, Asian lady. She had people, pump their pimples, and she's a doctor, but they will come with this pimple like it's the size of my head or something like that. Yeah, big ones. And I used to see someone that used to watch that. Oh, that's so disgusting.
But she watched it for the entire train ride.
Oh,
A compilation. This was a compilation of different pimples being popped over and over.
oh my God, that's not.
You could see it coming out. It was
No,
out
you
in
need to stop. Oh, oh my God. I'm getting all these pictures. Oh, that's disgusting. Oof.
But you see the imagination. You see what it can do, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
She must have some pimple that she wants to be removed or something. Oh my God. The nurse I work with watched it, she said. Carla said that her. And then they go and eat food. Wow. And she was watching it closely.
Very intensely. Very intensely.
Oh,
So
your thoughts?
yeah. So like you said, that's that's a lot of information. That's visual information that's kind of being, streamed. I don't know, what the purpose was, but she seemed to be very entertained. She seemed to enjoy it, you know.
It brings some sort of
So,
satisfaction.
it must be, right? It has to be some form of pleasure you must get from watching,
Ooh.
you know? Wouldn't you think? I mean, it was painful for her.
Mm.
If it was painful for her to watch, she would have been wincing and stuff. There was
I,
no reaction, but
mm-mm.
no emotion. It was just, you
Ew.
know.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Just looking at your phone and the pimples popping. Oh my God, no. Yeah, it must be some type of satisfaction. Something. People like weird stuff, I've seen people. I don't know. I used to watch all these fetish kind of people. Yeah, some people eating toilet paper, some people eating their cars or whatever. It's something glass. People have weird abilities too. Yeah.
Now, I like how you called this abilities,
That
right?
is an
Because,
ability.
because in the book that we're reading, The Nobody People, somebody tried to say, "Oh, your superpowers, or your super this, or they were like, we prefer to call them abilities.
Mm-hmm. It is ability.
So you feel like these are actually abilities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mental ability to watch that, you know. There's some type in there, but then they have yeah, I don't know, maybe they struggle with some people, so they want to pop it or something like that, so when they see someone else do it, maybe satisfies them, something like that. I don't know.
Once you pop, you just can't stop, right?
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But
You
yeah, there are abilities. People that can eat glasses. Have you? I used to read this gene record. What is it called? Gene record book. What is it called?
mm,
Guinness record book. That's what it's called in Swedish. But this book that someone whatever. Forget it. It's
the
a
Guinness
world record book.
the Guinness Book of World Records, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I used to look into that and see like, okay, who got some abilities? Let me see, and just look through it. And you will see some people eating glass and just chewing it. Some people taking some knives inside their throat and everything is fine. You don't call those abilities? I can't do it. And it's definitely not something that everybody can do. So it is an ability.
So so then it's almost like Ripley's Believe It or Not. That was another one. Ripley's Believe It or Not, where
Hmm.
you somebody doing something that to others was like very fantastical. You know,
Hmm.
you don't think that somebody sees what you do or what you don't do as an ability.
Hmm.
That I'm sure you get many people that say, "Oh, I could never not eat. I would die."
Yeah, I
Right?
know.
So they look at you like you could be on that show.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Or somebody that don't eat. Yeah. For them, it would become like that, I guess. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Louisa said for some people, it may be a relief of tension and anxiety. It would give me more anxiety than any relief. But you see, the opposite. Whatever that gives you relief, it can maybe, give someone else tension. It would give me anxiety. If I was just watching pimples popping and stuff, I don't even think I would be able. I think my eyes will automatically just close. Yeah, just like when I'm watching scary movies, I always think I've watched the whole movie, but every scene that's scary, my eyes are closed. So I always say, I've never watched a scary movie because I'm always closing my eyes. um, yeah,
So the movie is in the mind,
it's
you know?
the mind. Everything is the mind.
Yeah. So you would think that somebody who has developed this ability, if an ability was developed, they had to work at it.
Hmm.
Like it had to increase steadily over time that they got to that level where they're able to do something that makes you cringe.
Hmm.
But for them, they just take it in.
Yeah.
You know?
I think all of us have these abilities that if we choose to focus on one and work on it, you know, then we develop that. And then we have to work on the other one, next one, next one. We have to be, but we don't have that time because society have put us on these assignments. We have to do different things. But if life was based on working on your abilities, don't you think we would be able? We would. Everything needs just a practice. It's not like we're not capable of doing things. We just need to practice it, you know, and do it a part of our habits. Everything is just a habit.
Right, right. Like I love how you say it's practice,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't get to, you know, years ago I didn't get to eating 2 pound bags of hot wings overnight, right?
Okay.
That wasn't overnight. That was a practice. That took some work, but I didn't know that I was practicing, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So when I got to the level where I was eating this dead animal, I was eating dead animal flesh, but I was also lathering it with sauces and you know, jalapenos and habanero peppers and stuff. That to me, that was a level, right? That was an ability, but I had practiced. It took work to get there, and
Yeah.
my,
Yeah.
you know, body responded. So what might, you know, harm, you know, physically, it was already harming me. The damage was done, but
Mm.
it was just like my body had adjusted to the level of toxicity.
Mastery. Yeah.
Right? So to be able to do the opposite, that was a whole nother ability, a whole nother ability, you
Mm.
know, to do the complete opposite of what I had done for so much of my life.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to know that you can grow that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just practice the opposite. But once you become aware that this is something that you have learned, you can unlearn it. But if you're not even aware of that you have learned and you think it's part of you, then it's not easy for you to let go of it because now you think it's part of you. You know, this is what you are. This is what you eat, you know? But once you know, like, okay, hey, oh my God, how did I get here? You know, go back to the steps. Like, how did I get here? Then go backwards, go the other way, you know? Let's go back step by step and don't force. Like, whatever you have done for 20 plus years, you know, you can't just take them away in 20 days. Maybe it will take you, you know, 20 years of stepping back, going backwards. Yeah. But it's a work. Either way, it's work. Whether you come from society, you know, you need to do work. Whether you want to step into your higher power, you need to do the work. It's nothing has like a free route, you know. It all requires work. All require works because we are just building habits. We are creating habits. And in order for you to create a habit, you have to repeat it. So the practice is just in repetition that you can, you know, so it can click for you. So it becomes like part of you.
You would like Goenka, Naviha.
Huh?
you would you would like Goenka,
What?
Goenka, the one who does the Vipassana,
Oh,
because that's all he would say. He'd be like, "We have to work. You will have to work.
yeah.
You come here
You
to
have
work."
to. Because a lot of people will come there or whatever they think, you know, or if I just sit right there, I need to arrive. You need to let go of thinking that you're arriving anywhere or something. You need to do the work, and the work will teach you. You know, the steps will teach you. You can't go to a fast route on anything and think like, okay, spirituality is just sitting still and like, oh, I'm peace right now. I'm peace. No, you're not. You will find that. You will find that by, you know, going the steps. So, yeah, you find the fun in the steps, find the fun in the journey because there is no destination, you know. It really isn't. People have to let go of the destinations. The only destination is here. So learn how to arrive here. Yeah. All right.
Thank you for the messages.
Thank
You
you
know,
for the questions. One day when we go live, we're going to go from the other side. Okay. I will ask you questions. When I'm in person with you, there's no way you will ask me the question. Okay. Okay, much love to you all. Thank you for being here. All right.
The